Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for Fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. And my name is Dan, and today we are doing Game Week 2's episode of Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid, the transfer video, where we talk about some of the different transfer trends, which ones are the good ones to get on, which ones are the bad ones to get on, and that's pretty much it, guys. So today, I don't think it's going to be too controversial. I think you're probably going to agree with most of what I have to say today, but I guess we'll see. But if you do enjoy this video, whether you agree or not, please do leave a like, really helps out the channel so much, and do subscribe if you're new around here as well. Always really helps the channel. So without further ado, guys, let's have a quick look at the rules of the video. Okay, so buys are players you probably don't have but should consider bringing in. Sells are players you probably have but should consider removing. Keeps are players you might be thinking of removing but I think you should keep them. And finally, avoids are players that are pretty hyped up right now. I think they're potential traps that should be avoided completely. Alright, let's start off with some buys, and as always, guys, all of the stats in today's video have been very kindly provided by Fantasy Football Hub's Opta Stats tool. If you want to go check out the tool for yourself and get access to all of their stats, please do go check out the link at the top of the description. Guys, we're starting off with Erling Haaland. No surprise there whatsoever. I think if you're going to buy one player this week, it probably should be Haaland. I think in general this week, I don't think we really need to make transfers. I don't think we really need to panic too much, but there is just this one player who is really standing out. Obviously had a fantastic game, his debut for Manchester City. We now have this information that he is on penalties as well, or certainly he's on penalties if Mahrez isn't on the pitch. I think that could be the one thing that maybe disrupts it, but having scored his first penalty for the club, it would be pretty difficult to take those penalties off him. So yeah, fantastic player, fantastic start, absolutely blew Kane out of the water, which I don't think anyone was really expecting him to do it by that amount in terms of FPL points, but it's one of those things. It's one of those things that happens. And then going forward, we've got newly promoted Bournemouth at home, so a lot of people are going to want to have Haaland in their teams if they don't have already, and they're going to want to captain him in that game as well. So fantastic pick, fantastic start for Haaland. I think it's only going to get a little bit more brutal in game week 2, and then after that maybe Kane might be able to catch up on points, but for game week 2 it seems like it's going to be the Haaland show, guys, so definitely a buy. My second buy is actually going to be Zinchenko, and I don't feel really as strongly about any other player other than Haaland, if I'm completely honest. But in terms of other players that I'm quite interested in personally, that I potentially look to pick up in this game week, Alexander Zinchenko would definitely be one of those players. I think he's going to be really good value at 5.1 million. I think he's going to be getting a decent amount of clean sheets. I like the Arsenal fixtures a lot, and I just think this could be a good one. I know people are kind of worried maybe he'll get rotated when Tierney comes back, but I wonder if he's just going to go straight into the midfield, and if he plays very well as he has done in pre-season and as he has done in game week 1, then I think he could actually be really good. So I really like this pick. I think if you were to buy a defender this game week, Zinchenko would have to be the one to go for. Obviously was able to be a little bit creative, able to take a shot in that game as well against Crystal Palace, and it's only going to get easier to get some of those attacking returns as well. So he's got 1 clean sheet and 1 assist to his name so far. Can he potentially add to that? I think he potentially could, starting with a home game against Leicester, which I think, if from an attacker's point of view, that's a really good fixture. I wonder if Leicester may be able to score a goal against Arsenal and ruin the clean sheet, but I do fancy, if Arsenal were to get a clean sheet, Zinchenko maybe get a goal return, an attacking return of some variety. He is going to be once again one of the highest scoring players of the game week, and I, for one, am very excited about the prospect of Zinchenko moving into a midfield position soon, because I really think that is going to happen if he continues his performances. Okay, out of all of the players that I'd consider selling, I think Bernardo Silva would be the #1 player I'd be most likely to sell. Out of the popular players that a lot of you guys have, I think Bernardo would have to be the #1 sell. Again, I have to kind of reiterate that I would not be going too hard on the transfers this week. I wouldn't be panicking too much, but Bernardo Silva does look like he is going to be leaving Man City. Obviously, he didn't play in that first game week, so that's already worrying. If Bernardo Silva has been omitted from that game week 1 first 11, and now there's rumours of him leaving, you have to wonder whether there is something up right about now. And even if he does stay, I just don't think he's a very good player for fantasy returns at all, really. He's not really good for FPL points at all, unless De Bruyne is injured, in which case players like Bernardo can thrive. You know, Bernardo, when he's playing in a false 9 position, can thrive there as well. But is he going to be playing as a false 9? No, because Erling Haaland is now at the club. So in terms of an FPL asset, really don't like Bernardo. He's probably not even going to be in the club within the next couple of weeks. And even if he is still there, whilst they're still kind of trying to figure out his future, maybe he's going to have some more bench appearances. So although he has got this really nice fixture against Bournemouth, I really don't see what the best thing that could happen is. Like, the best case scenario is you know, not even that good anyway. And the worst case scenario is that he doesn't get any minutes and he's sold, you know, before our deadline anyway. So, yeah, don't like this player. I don't like this pick. Never like this pick. But even more now than ever, I think you should definitely be selling Bernardo Silva if you have him. I would probably suggest that Gabriel Martinelli would probably be the first player I would jump to in terms of a midfielder around that price. Martinelli looks pretty good. The one thing I am slightly concerned about Martinelli, however, is the fact that Arsenal still seem to be on the hunt for another winger at the club. And if they do sign another winger, then maybe Martinelli is going to have his minutes reduced. But until that happens, and it might not happen at all, Martinelli, I think, is an excellent pick with some excellent fixtures that I think he'll do very well in. Alright, Matty Cash is also going to be a sell, which is a shame because I really thought that this would be a good pick. Going into Game Week 1, I thought Matty Cash would be one of the stronger picks to go for, but really disappointing from Aston Villa in Game Week 1. I'm sure you guys can all agree. They just didn't look right. It didn't look ready, and Matty Cash was not able to impact the game whatsoever. This is a player we're used to seeing play very hard up the pitch, creating, taking shots. He had one shot all game, and he didn't create a single chance in that game. I mean, Aston Villa in general didn't really create any chances, so for 5 million defender, that's quite a lot of money for a defender. That's not exactly the cheapest possible defender to go for, and I do worry whether or not he is going to be able to get, you know, very much out of these easy games. And then after we've got these easy games, Everton, Crystal Palace, and they're not even super easy games, they're like kind of almost easy games. After that, the fixtures just go downhill completely with West Ham, Arsenal, and I'm pretty sure they've got a couple of other red fixtures after that, you know, maybe like Man City and Leicester and teams like that. So yeah, Matty Cash, I think I would be like desperate to keep him. I would possibly keep him, but I mean, if I had to sell a defender out of the popular defenders, I would say that probably Matty Cash would probably be a very good sell. I mean, it's pretty difficult to suggest players to sell because you kind of want to give them a chance, don't you? Maybe give them more than just one game week, but judging by one game week, I think Aston Villa are probably the team that disappointed us the most. So it's their players that are on the chopping block, really, I think. Okay, on to some keeps. I'm going to put Gabriel Jesus as a definite keep. People would have been disappointed with his 2 points, obviously. And he was the most popular player in the game. He still is the most popular player in the game, I believe, at the current moment. But, you know, you can see that dwindling a lot. So many people are selling Jesus. And I would say that the only way I would sell Jesus is if that was the only way of getting Erling Haaland into my team. Otherwise, I would definitely keep him. I know his stats don't look particularly good. I know he didn't score. I know he didn't get an assist. But those of you guys who watched the game will have known how good Jesus was, and you know, there was a couple of moments in the game where he really had opportunities to score and assist, like huge opportunities, but because of the situation, you know, how the ball bobbles around, how late, like kind of tackles and interceptions, so happened that Jesus did not get any FPL returns, but he came really close and he looked fantastic, and that was against Crystal Palace away, which in my opinion is Arsenal's hardest game. From an attacker's point of view, I would say that Game Week 1 was the hardest game of the opening fixtures. Now I think it's much better from here for the Arsenal attackers to go get some FPL points against Leicester, Bournemouth, Fulham and Aston Villa at home. These are really good fixtures, and Jesus, if he performs as well as he did against Crystal Palace, he will get FPL returns. You know, that was a little bit of a freak one. It's a little bit of a situation where we can't actually see how well he did on stats. You have to go watch the game, and I'm sure those of you guys who did watch the game would have seen there was a lot of encouraging things from Jesus that suggest that points are coming in the future. Perisic is another player I would keep. I know a lot of you guys are going to be disappointed that he only got 1 point. He didn't start in Game Week 1, but he is actually one of my biggest transfer targets in the whole of FPL right now. I'm waiting until after the Chelsea game. Then I'm almost, you know, I'm really likely to try and bring Perisic into my team for Game Week 3 against Wolves. So if you can, you know, just be happy to keep him for this Chelsea game, then from Game Week 3 onwards, I think you're going to have a player that is really good. Otherwise, you're going to have to take him out for Chelsea game and then take him back in again. That doesn't really make too much sense, does it really? 2 transfers to do one thing. That costs you essentially 8 points just to remove him and to put him back in again. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. So yeah, I would keep him through this Chelsea game. I would say that the fact that he got a decent amount of minutes at the end of the game against Southampton in Game Week 1, it suggests that Perisic is almost there. They're going to want him fit and available for a really crucial game against Chelsea. We saw the positioning of the wing backs for Spurs. It looked phenomenal. You just know that these fullbacks, these wing backs for Spurs, are going to get so many FPL points between now and the end of the season. We've already seen it with Sessegnon and Emerson, and Perisic, with his attacking ability that he has, he's a better attacker than Sessegnon. He's a better attacker than Emerson by quite some margin. So when he's in those positions, he is going to do so well. He is going to, be an absolute points machine when he plays. So I'm waiting for him to come back fit. I'm waiting to get this Chelsea game out of the way. I'm going to probably bring him in personally. So I definitely advise those of you who still have Perisic to just try and be a little bit patient with him, because he is going to be a massive, massive point scorer at some point during the season, probably from game week 3 onwards. And finally, some avoids. We're going to start off with Pascal Gross. I mean, these are just kind of very knee-jerk transfers. Making avoids, like picking avoids out at the start of the season, is just so easy, because so many people just get really hyped up by players who scored a lot of points the previous game week. This is not a player I would be buying at all. Definitely not. Yes, he scored 2 goals in that opening game against Manchester United, but those of you who watched the game will have probably realised that Manchester United absolutely put those 2 goals on a plate for him, and that's not going to happen every game week. It's particularly not going to happen in games against teams like Newcastle, who are really strong defensively, maybe West Ham. I did kind of like Gross's positioning, I have to admit that, but I'm not going to be personally looking to get him until at least game week 4, and then I'll kind of consider him depending on how he performs against Newcastle and West Ham. But what I can tell you is that he's not going to get 2 goals every game. Newcastle and West Ham, I would not be surprised if he blanks in both of these games. He's just not going to get those opportunities that he had against Manchester United every game. So don't expect this to happen every week. You can buy him, but you don't get his points from last game week. And he's not going to get the same points as he did last game week every game week. So just be aware of that, and I would definitely be avoiding Gross. There are bigger things to worry about, as in just saving your transfers. Haaland, or pretty much nothing in terms of transfer moves. Pascal Gross would be at the bottom of my priority list in terms of what I'm going to do with my transfer this game week. Similar thing with Fabian Schär. So Fabian Schär, I have to admit, he does have a good fixture in game week 2 at least, but you can see over the next 4 game weeks, Manchester City and Liverpool, it's not good. Schär, another player who was, the top point scorer of the week. A lot of people are just going to be looking, who scored the most points last week? Oh, I'll buy them. Guys, you don't get last week's points by buying a player now. I know that sounds really, really obvious, but people expect that a player who scored well last week will score that every week. You missed the boat. The opportunity is gone. It's fine. But another thing I'm worried about Fabian Schär, other than the fact that he plays Man City and Liverpool in the next 4, you basically can't even play him. You can't start him really against Man City and Liverpool, is the fact that I think he will get rotated a little bit. So we did see Eddie Howe before the beginning of the season talk about playing Botman and Burn together as the centre-back partnership, which obviously is going to mean that Schär is going to be on the bench at the very least. I don't think him scoring a goal necessarily changes that fact. I know he does have those kind of shooting abilities in his locker, but I do think there is going to be some rotation there as Botman, when he finds, when Botman is ready to go in the Premier League, this is their big signing, their big, huge centre-back signing of this summer, he's not Schär is not going to keep Botman to the bench. Dan Burn is probably the best player for Newcastle in the second half of last season as well. It's going to be difficult for this guy to keep his place. So not only is he a avoid for his fixtures, but he's also an avoid because I think there'll be rotation. I think he could potentially get, a 6 pointers against Brighton and Wolves if he does start. But is that enough for you? He's certainly not going to be scoring a goal like that every game, is he? So yeah, just in conclusion, guys, I think that the overall message here is don't panic too much on your transfers. There's a lot of players that you're going to be disappointed that they only scored 1 or 2 points last game week. That doesn't automatically mean that they're a bad player. And similarly, there's going to be players that scored 15 points, 10 plus points in game week 1. Sometimes that's because they're a great player who will score great points, e.g. Erling Haaland. And sometimes it's just going to be one of those freak things that happens now and again. Now and again, you will get a centre-back or, a midfielder who absolutely bangs one week and then completely goes on to do nothing for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And it's very important that we identify when a player is actually looking fantastic and when a player is just having that one magical game that is not going to happen every game week. And I would certainly say with players like Schär and Gross, that's not going to happen every game week. Let's just cool it on those guys a little bit. So yeah, try and save your transfers. Try and not use a transfer unless you feel like you absolutely have to. I don't think game week 2 is really a game week where we have to use our transfers. It's kind of optional. So there we go, guys. That's going to be pretty much the end of the video today. Please please do leave a like if you enjoyed what you saw today. Please do subscribe as well if you haven't done already. Reminder that you can still get 50% off your Fantasy Football Hub membership. Just click on the link in the description. That takes you to the Opta stats tool, which I use for these videos and I think is incredibly useful. Go check it out at the very least and see what you think of it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. 100 experts video tomorrow. We're going to do a team selection video on Thursday, and then Friday I haven't decided yet, but I might do a wildcard draft because a few people have kind of asked for wildcard related stuff, what I would do if I were to wildcard in Game Week 2. But yeah, check out the video yesterday if you want to get more transfer tips. That was my tier list video, and I've talked for so long now, so I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, guys, once again, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.